Facebook. So,
Great.
I'll just start. Yes. So I'll just start presenting you, and then. So welcome everybody to Wines of Italy LiveStream, which is today, or it will be on Friday, but today we're celebrating 1 year. Or I'm celebrating 1 year. So it was 1 year ago that I had my first live stream. We're actually Valerie was present. So I also have the black glasses that we were given as a gift at the Vino wine event last week. But it's actually Prosecco. It's not champagne because I didn't have any so at home. So today we have
for her.
I know.
No, it's okay. I have it. So today we have Valerie and Stephanie here from Wine25 as guests, and we might have Massimo Coppetti, to stop by for a while. Who used to teach Italian wine to Valerie some years ago. And I met him with Stephanie almost a month ago already. So today, except for cheering and proposing a toast to the live stream, we'll talk about everything, like your podcast, who you are, your connection to Italy, and whatever else you want to talk about. And people who wants to ask questions, you can just do it here or on Facebook. I will try and monitor both. So I don't know. Do you want to start presenting yourself?
Sure. Now, where is it on Facebook?
It's on my personal page.
Personal page. Okay.
All right.
Okay, now it's much better.
Emmanuel.
See, it's better.
Okay, so how are we
going
to get in the picture? So we'll just
we're going to be like cozy. We're like, we're the Wine25.
Yeah, but that works nice too. Because I think they hear better now because they were complaining a bit about the echo. So
okay.
So just continue to describe yourself and talk about your connection to Italy now.
Okay, Val, yeah, you were talking about your connection with Italy and.
Okay, so that needs to go off because we're still hearing the echo.
I said go
disconnected. Off. Just close the window out. Bye. Ciao. Better?
Yes, it's much better.
Better for us too. So yeah, it's easier to talk when you don't have voices in your head and you don't have echoes. Yes. But yeah, my family is part of Steph's family is from Italy. So I actually got to go get some birth records and hang out in my ancestral homeland of Castel di Sangro in Abruzzo and drink some Abruzzese wines. And most of you probably know about wines from Abruzzo, Montepulciano d'Abruzzo, and some really great wines down there. And then I went back in 2011 and just hung out and drank wine and went to wine dinners. And I'm surprised I never met you, Katerina, because I was all over Florence.
Because I'm not very much. In Florence, you mean?
Yeah,
that's weird.
So still got a lot of friends there in Florence, and some you've met. And then from there, I just went on to France to study some French wine, and then started studying wine back here. And that's how Steph and I met. And then the podcast came from our study sessions because we were studying. We're both certified wine educators with the Society of Wine Educators, and we were studying to achieve this. This is like a 6-part exam. It's not a joke. There are like 401 people who passed this thing in the world, so we were pretty intimidated by it. So we had a study group of other ladies, and we would all do it over conference call because we weren't living in the same town. So Steph lives up in Fort Collins, which is 2.5 hours north. I live down here in Colorado Springs. We had 2 ladies in Denver. So we would do a conference call to study. And what was really cool is, you can record the calls.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah, we would record the calls. So I think Steph missed the Spain class or something that we did together on a Sunday morning. We'd have 7 o'clock on Sunday mornings and study wine.
We were hardcore. I mean, Sunday mornings when people are usually like sleeping in and relaxing, we're all setting our alarms and like studying and creating questions for each other to stump one another, and and
Lauren also, that's a great idea for studying, and it's also a great way. We built a Facebook group and we throw questions at each other as well. And there are a lot of online study groups too if you're studying for something or just want to geek out. And then Steph was listening to the recorded call on the drive back from New Mexico or Arizona, and I guess one of them we were starting to crack jokes and she thought it was really funny. So fast forward, my fiance had been trying to get me to have a podcast for a while. And I was like, well, what am I going to talk about? Who wants to listen to me and all this? And so together, it's a lot more fun. It's definitely a lot more fun than listen to one person go on in a podcast. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think
we get
so.
to work together, right?
That's right. Well, we got the distance of our ear buds here.
All right. Yeah. So.
No, I mean, I think you're great fun. I mean, because it becomes very kind of a bickering among you, so between you. So it's I mean, a lot of jokes, and so it's fun to participate too, because it's I mean, there's a lot of wine education, wine information, but in a quite fun way. So
yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, it is good. And I think learning about wine should be fun. I mean, there are a lot of places you can learn about wine and it seems really stuffy. And, I've even caught myself in interviews. So I'm like, boy, I sound stuffy, but it needs to be fun. There's so much to learn about wine. We never know it all. Some things you learn and then you forget. I think I've forgotten more than I've learned.
Actually. Oh, yeah.
I can't keep it rolling around in your head forever. So it's good to refresh on it. It's good to find different ways to study. So if part of your studying, is with a group or you're listening to podcasts like, Guild Somm is definitely more educational, I think. If you're reading, different places, visiting different websites, sources, publications, Decanter is great because they have the quizzes. So yeah, Lauren, if you like quizzes, Decanter has some great quizzes if you haven't played them. Those are fun. Yeah.
No, I mean, most of all, know your best way to study and do mostly that, but then also try and have it media rich and, different ways to learn just to kind of solidify what you really are learning, but especially if you can't visit in person, because that's the best way to learn.
Yeah, it is, especially tasting. I think we met when we got together for our group tastings like once a month. So everything was over the phone. And then we would set a date like on a Saturday or Sunday or even a Thursday during the week when we could all get together. We'd all meet in a central location in Denver and then be able to do our tasting practice together because you have to have tastings to pass the exam as
blind tastings too.
And the wine faults. One of us would order a wine fault kit, and we'd adulterate the wine and get together and, this one's sulfur. This one is acetone.
And that's really hard to do. So doing it with a group is helpful and sharing the cost is helpful. But drinking a lot of wine is really the way to do it. I mean, to try different wines is helpful because if you don't drink enough, you won't be able to understand and learn these wines. I mean, especially for the tasting parts, but so.
And that's why
I mean, you learn the wines by drinking them. So
you learn the wines by drinking.
Because then you recognize.
Yeah.
So Lauren is studying for
level 3.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Good on you. That's a good advanced place. I did the level 3 while I was doing CWE. So they played back and forth really nicely together. And then of course, if you go on and do the diploma, a lot of the French wine scholar stuff, if you've gotten into it, rolls really well into diploma. If you do French wine scholar, you're a step ahead on the diploma, but it's not going to hurt you for level 3 either. So a lot of these programs, like we said, play into each other, and then there are the apps.
Yeah, did that go? Did an earring go?
No, it's my other headset. So there are apps out there that are really great for learning. We did talk about them in one of our episodes as well. Yeah. Talk about some of the learning apps.
We kind of like a two-headed wine beast over here. We're like,
Oh, you did.
We had some apps too. I remember when we studied I've only done the sommelier course, so I'm not as advanced as you are.
Well, it's just not really a matter of being advanced. I think it's just a different path because I started down the sommelier world as well, especially when I was in Florence. We had another Katerina. She was AIS trained sommelier, and then she took us over to get the FISAR, as I had a conversation with you about, with Ricardo and WinesOfItaly and the guy who never smiled.
Who's that? What's that story?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was at WinesOfItaly. We were in the consortio for Chianti Classico. And he didn't speak English. And so what we were doing, we were interns, the Americans, we weren't real somms. And we would, just help the real somms, go through and taste the 290 something wines in the morning and dump them at the afternoon. And take the bottles to the table that the wine writers would come in and want to taste, and then pick up the bottles from the table when they were done. And poor Ricardo, he would just stand there, and I'd send you a picture of him, and he would just like, you know, calma, calma. You know, you couldn't get all like bajiggity like I am with him. He's like, calma. I'm like, you know, but he did try to train us in how the fees are. Wine service is different from the EIS wine service. And, you know, did a little somm service while I was over there, but, you know, it's just not my bag. And studied some somm with the International Somm Guild here. And I just thought, you know what, sommelier is more restaurant oriented and hotels and service oriented, where what we do is more, well, Steph's a certified sommelier. Mm-hmm. She went down that road a little bit further than I did. And where I am, I'm more on the scholarly side. I just like to dig into the books, write about it, talk about it, and all that. So it's just,
I mean, I'm more or less the same. I just really don't do the service part because it's not my thing.
Yeah.
So I just do the more scholarly part, the more theoretical part of the.
I think though, even like it seemed like when we were yesterday, Valerie and I were doing some podcasting for a future episode that's going to be about Japanese wines. And what was interesting in the research is that, you know, there's a lot of Japanese wine professionals and enthusiasts that are seeking the sommelier credential, but that doesn't mean that they're going to work in a restaurant either. And so I think, you know, depending on the country and really in even what year we're talking about, the definition of a sommelier is very different from place to place and country to country is what I'm really speaking about. Because, you know, for you, like you were saying, I mean, a lot of the Italian sommeliers aren't not necessarily working in a restaurant, but it is a lot like that here in the USA. And so it's just different all over, you know. It doesn't hurt to get your sommelier, but, you know.
I think it's also a problem that there's not that many sommelier jobs around in Italy anymore, because there's not that many high-level restaurants who have them. I mean, who can afford them. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who do the sommelier course like with us, who then do the service where they contact, like, for example, fees are for the wine events, and they want a total number of sommeliers, and people do the service part like that. But there's not that many who works like in a hotel or in a restaurant or similar, because I think that's more in the States, perhaps, that they still have.
You know, and that goes by market in the States. I mean, we have a 5-star hotel here in Colorado Springs. It does have, you know, they had a master somm at one time. I think they've got some advanced somms over there now. But most of our restaurants here, not only do they not have sommeliers, they don't even have staff that even understands wine. They don't understand somewhere. And that's why I eat at home a lot, you know, because honestly, I consider wine part of the meal experience. Most people do not. And they don't want to pay that staff. They have a lot of turnover. They don't want to train them. And I get it from a business perspective, or they don't want to have, you know, nice stemware because it gets broken. And so you're drinking out of, you know, and so I think there's more of a place in the food world for sommeliers. I just think most employers don't want to employ them, train their staff about wine service, or pay for those certifications for people because they're expensive. You know, I mean, if you keep going, like I know Lauren, you're doing the, she sold wine. Most of her job was training restaurant staff. Exactly. And that's what a lot of distributors do as well. So, sorry, I'm going to turn this phone off. And, but also, you know, again, your wine knowledge is expensive. You know, I've often said, you know, counting my time in Italy, you know, I probably dropped over $100,000 on all my certifications. And when you get into, you know, where Lauren is, you know, she's, you know, done the retail space, which you can do with a somm, you know, you can do with WSET as well. When you get into the diploma and then the master of wine world, you know, you can still be in that world, you know, but you're probably going to have to move to get the job that'll, you know, pay for your skills. You know, you're not going to get those jobs here in Colorado Springs. Definitely not. So,
no. I don't know, because I mean, even if
I love it here. So,
but I think, I mean, I at least have more fun doing the more writing and reading things. So for me, it's not really. I wouldn't enjoy staying, you know, like at a wine event and having to pour wine all day because I don't know, it's not my thing. But I realized that that's also part of the sommelier education and sommelier part. But for me, it's not really what I'm interested in. So
yeah, and I think that's the first thing that you have to know when you're looking for. And again, I think there's just like the three of us with Lauren, you know, who's got experience in the industry. You have to know first what you don't want to do. And I remember I was interviewed on another podcast, and they said, "Well, when did you know you wanted to be in the wine industry?" And I was like, "I never did.
No.
I never did. You know, I only did my sommelier internship at in Florence there because I had to, and I couldn't stand it, and I ended up quitting. You know, I mean, I finished it out, but I gave them I quit letter and pretty much told them everything I thought was wrong with the program. But it was because it was not the right place in my life. I was 42 years old or 43 or something like that. And so I was just like, I knew I was too old to be working the restaurant floor at 11 o'clock at night, walking home. And I knew that just was not where I was going to take my wine education. And I wanted to experience more of Italy. That was my thing. For those young kids who've got their whole lives ahead of them, you know, who are going to just start and climb that somm ladder or whatever it is you want to do, you know. So I knew that wasn't what I didn't want to do, but everybody kept asking, what do you want to do? I'm like, you know what? I'll know when I get there. Right now, I'm just going to go to school and enjoy.
I think you just kind of fall into it. I mean, I didn't really think I would.
Yeah, you do. You know. Yeah. Go ahead, Katarina.
No, I had never thought about writing a blog. I didn't really. I don't know. It just happened, and it just happened. So
I think what's nice is that, you know, we might say we don't want to work the restaurant floor, but then there's just as many people who say they don't want to get in front of a camera and do an interview, or they don't want to write. They hate writing. I mean, there's enough to go around for everybody. And I think that the technology is always growing and changing, that, you know, the opportunities will be there if you want to get into wine. You just need to figure it out what really resonates with you, because there's a lot to go around, you know, and the wine world, it keeps growing anyway. I mean, look at China and everything else, you know, I mean, there's going to be more and more opportunities. So I think it's encouraging for people who are just starting, and it's encouraging for those of us that have already started. There's more out there.
Yeah, it is a beautiful site, Katarina, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I mean, seriously, what a great anniversary gift to yourself. What a beautiful new website.
I don't know, I didn't really have planned it that much. She just kind of, it's an American actually who has done it for me. I found her for another friend who did a cartoon. It's an artist friend of mine, and of Nadia Padrino, who is following us on Facebook. He's in Singapore and he's just great. He did it like in 1 hour. While he was mailing me, do you like this? Do you like that? How should I change it? And I fully meant, you know, that he would do it like in 2 weeks. So I said, no, no hurry. And then he was like, no, I'm done. And it was like in 1 hour. So he's really great. So if anybody wants to contact him or use him, he's very good. And he's like only 26 years old or something.
Of course. They're talent. The talent.
And he studied art in Florence. And that's how I met him.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Hey, Lauren, are you drinking wine?
And let's see what she's drinking.
Yeah, see what she's drinking. Oh, no.
I think
shoot. We should show everybody what we're drinking.
Yeah.
So what are you drinking?
Check this out.
Like I said.
Can you see?
Cadafrara.
Oh, sorry, this is hard for me. This way.
This is a Provincia di Pavia.
I'll show you the back.
Croatina, and this is a 2007, which is ridiculous.
Okay. I just wrote an article about Croatina because my friends are in the Oltrepo Pavese area.
Yeah, it was a strange bottle that it's not one you see here a lot, and so it was a fun bottle to pick out. I think my wine purveyor. Yeah, Lauren, pour yourself a glass if you can, if you're not going to get in trouble. Yeah, but
okay, so I'll show my bottle.
Yeah,
I actually have the extra dry Duca di Dole, who was a guest a couple of weeks ago. But so it's a small organic winery in Valdobbiadene.
Okay.
But the session didn't, or the show didn't get very well because they had problems with the internet connection, so we have to redo it.
Yeah, that's a very common thing that we'll find out if you do choose to do tech for a living, which we now do, is sometimes technology, most of the time it's your friend and we take it for granted. Well, boy, there are days where it's like, my editing software is throwing a fit and shutting down, and you'll see, because I'll get on Twitter and I'll, pretty much Audacity's not my friend, and editing is going to drive me to drink, or Skype doesn't cooperate. But right now, everything's been working really well. I think this is a better format than the Blab. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean, we're actually leaving this one very soon because they don't work that well. So there's I don't know. Either I have to go on Google Hangouts or there's a new one, Be Live, I think.
Okay.
Oh.
No, so Facebook lets you do it too.
I think this new Be Live is via Facebook.
Okay. Because I know on election night, I was watching some live Facebook feeds from another podcaster that I like, and mostly they were sitting around getting drunk watching the states fall. But it was still, interesting that they can just turn on the camera and you can be talking to people on Facebook like we are right now.
Yeah, the problem is
anybody can tune in.
Yeah, directly on Facebook you can't be 2 or 3 people yet, but you have to use another.
Oh, it's just one person.
Yeah, so you have to be in the same room.
Mm.
We should do a live Facebook.
Yeah.
Wind up 5. Yeah.
Or you could do a holiday thing, maybe. Or...
But I'm fairly calm now. I was more kind of stressed in the beginning with Blab because I was a bit nervous all the time. But now it's like, okay. If it works, it works. Otherwise, we just do it another Tuesday. So.
Yeah.
Now you're a pro.
No, I don't know. But people seem to come back anyway. So I was afraid that they would never come back again if I screwed up. So
no. Hey, I was going to ask you. I know while Steph was there, she got to go to one of Antonello Biancala's dinners. Have you been down to one of his dinners yet?
No, I haven't. No.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, I heard Stephanie told me all about it.
It's a smoking deal.
It is a smoking deal. I'm going to see if it's going to be going on while we're there. We're going to be in Rome from the 24th of January that night through, I think we're leaving Sunday morning. So we'll be there about 5 days. And I thought, if there was a way we could take a train up to Perugia and do that, good. But it's kind of out in the country. So it's about 30, it's a 30-minute cab. It's kind of expensive cab ride out to Locanda de Galossi, but you can stay there. They have rooms and they're not very expensive. And so you don't have
perhaps
to.
If you stay there, I mean, you can, I don't know, then at least you don't have to go back and forth.
I remember the rooms were maybe at the time when I was there last €40 a night. That's not even $60.
You guys could rendezvous there.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. I was.
Now I'm going to Umbria all the time.
Yeah.
I think I only went there like 3 times in the whole time I've been here, but now I've been more to Umbria this year than I've been in 15 years. So it's good.
Oh, it's so beautiful there. Oh my gosh.
Good. That's a good problem to have, Katarina.
True.
Yeah. So now what are you doing? Are you going to go back to Sweden for the holidays?
Yes, I'm going for, I think, a week, 10 days or something.
Okay.
For the Christmas.
And drink some aquavit.
Yes, the spicy aquavit with mistletoe inside.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I like that. Their holiday. What do they call it?
I don't know.
With the holiday, the one they only serve at the holidays. Remember we saw the commercial for the aquavit?
Oh, I don't remember.
Best. But that's in my region because we're a bit more Danish, so I don't think they know what it is in the rest of Sweden.
Yeah, there was it was definitely the Danish one. But
because there's Aalborg, which is a typical Danish snaps, and then there's Besk, and then there's something else, and then we have one that is called Skåne, which is like our region.
Okay.
We have a lot of.
There are a lot of different kinds. A lot of different kinds, but we can only get 3 here. I think 3 different kinds.
Yeah, not very many.
The Linny line, I think we can get here, and that's about it. Yeah. So,
well, you can make it on your own if you buy aquavit. If I manage to get the recipe, I will send it to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I think they put like mistletoe and then some other spices, and then they do some mix with brandy and something. But he didn't want to tell us what he put, because I know he put brandy, but he didn't want to tell whatever other stuff he puts in. It's like when you do the fortified wine, you do sort of a mistella and then you put it in.
Yeah, they won't tell you which one it is.
No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But
we were having some cocktails last night because, you know, it was kind of cold outside. Val had a really good bourbon drink, and I had it wasn't tequila. It was, what did I have?
I thought I had a mezcal rinse.
Mezcal and, no, it was tequila and mezcal together.
Okay.
That's what it was. But yeah, so always up for some cocktails. That's for sure. If we're not having wine, we are having cocktails.
Yeah.
So if we talk a bit more about the Wine to Five, how did you get started in the beginning? I mean, what was your, because for people who, I mean, talk a bit PR about your Wine to Five. For people who doesn't know much about it here, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really interesting because first of all, we had to think, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to call it? And so we kind of mulled it over, and then he had to go out and look for web domains that weren't taken. So that was the first thing I want to do, is make sure we secured a brand, a name. So I threw a couple ideas, Steph and I back and forth, and then we secured a domain. And it didn't even build the website yet, just secured the domain, got the Facebook page up, you know, grabbed the Twitter account. So we grabbed all those things because they disappear very quickly. So you got to figure out, you know, who your audience is, how you're going to be different. First of all, because there's a lot of wine podcasts out there, and none of them are the same.
Yeah,
I would say none of them are the same. So you got to figure out what you're going to bring to the table that nobody else brings. So we had to get that. And we sat in a hotel room out in Grand Junction and kind of blathered about on a microphone for a while. None of that audio we've ever been able to use. But I think maybe because we had 6 bottles of wine open, so there was that.
Well,
I was studying for the CWE.
Yeah, that's right. There's that.
There was that. And we had a long day at the Albarello booth.
Yes.
So, but yeah, that's the first thing. You got to figure, you know, who your listeners are going to be. What do they want to hear about? Do they want to hear you? Because like somebody said, well, why don't you just interview winemakers? Like everybody does that.
Yeah, we didn't want to have the same show as everybody else. And I'm not sure. Yeah, we have had, you know, 1 or 2 winery or winemakers, you know, represented. But we have such a mix of content. And that's really because we intended it to be that way. I mean, we wanted to entertain people. We wanted it to be very rich with, you know, what are the new things going on out there in the wine world? However, let's talk about history too. You know, so we wanted it to have a lot of complementary information. And Val, you know, wanted it also to be like, okay, what can she talk about and share about her personally with her stories? And for me too. So we both wanted to be able to be ourselves, make sure that, you know, we teach people some of the things that we both agree on, but it was okay to disagree too with things. And that we wanted people to know that wine is subjective and that there's a huge wine world out there. And so it's not just, you know, my opinion, you know, with one person podcasting, you know, we've got 2 people and we're always inviting, you know, guests on or trying. We even try new things. I mean, even though we have a format, which that took a while to create the format.
Yeah. I mean, because you got to figure out how you want to do your show every week and offer up not only the big wine world, but the different aspects of it.
Yeah.
And how that's going to fit in with the way the show's going to play out every week. And then, of course, you know, you kind of measure the listener response as well. You measure the downloads per episode. I'm like, we did an episode on bitters.
And it wasn't very popular.
It's still our least downloaded episode. I'm like, man, people don't care about cocktails or bitters. Like our cocktail episodes, people don't want to hear them. No,
not really. No,
whiskey.
Because I thought they were popular.
You would think, you know, and you know, since I started on level 4 and I had to do that whole unit on spirits, that's when I really got into cocktails and spirits because one, I had to learn them and identify them and write about them. But then I saw, wow, the cocktail world is exciting and there's so much great stuff. Oh, thanks, Lauren. Yay. Cool. Shout out to you when we record our 8 December show, because we're recorded all the way up to the 1st.
I'm putting your link every now and then while you're talking.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah. So, you know, we do take requests from anybody who wants to, you know, talk about a subject. We can work it into our program. We're getting ready to plan out our 2017. So yeah, Lauren, if you're a subscriber and there's something you want to hear about, let us know, or, you know, let us know, or, you know, put it on SpeakPipe and you can hear your voice on the show.
Yeah.
It's like a little a voicemail. Yeah, you have 90 seconds to ask a question or say, hey, I'd like to hear more about Irish whiskey or whatever. Yeah. So you can hear your voice on the show, and it's really cool. And so we do take input from our listeners because it's your show. It's what do you want to hear about? We're just here to kind of facilitate the
conversation,
the coolness of learning about alcohol while we're drinking it. You know,
and I think, you know, even though some of our cocktail and spirit episodes haven't had a lot of downloads, I mean, there still is the fact that people are drinking a lot of brown spirits, and I think that we do have listeners who appreciate it. But we have a title of our podcast that's called Wine to Five, so a majority of our listeners are interested predominantly in wine, and that's why they subscribed. But as you know, wine drinkers are also foodies, and they usually also like very nice spirits. So we do try to include it because we talk about food. We talk about recipes, talk about cooking with wine. And because Val and I, you know, describe our friendship as also having a common thread of the wine lifestyle. And when we say wine lifestyle, we really do mean that, you know, we include wine and wine related things in our everyday lives. I mean, we drink most days of the week wine, and a lot of the gifts that we give people are wine related, and the trips that we plan are wine related. And so we have episodes about traveling to wine regions, we have an affiliate that has a wine travel business, you know, so that connects with us personally, but it is just part of the greater wine world. I mean, wine tourism is huge and it's growing. So we want to bring that to the show.
Right. And there are just many ways of doing it too. I think a lot of people think that wine tourism has to be high end. I mean, we're going to have a gentleman on probably in January who does some very high end tours and very custom and very private tours. Very choosy with the groups he selects and everything, or the groups that select him, I should say. And then there's some really casual, there are cruises. I mean, there's so many ways to experience wine. And we just want to let listeners know, you know, it doesn't have to be done one way. There's no single way to love wine. There's no, and this is why, you know, when people are like, what's the best wine for Thanksgiving? I'm like, there is no one wine. You got to open 3 bottles at a minimum for that schizophrenic meal. Come on, you know, and depends what's your stuffing like, and you know how much cranberry sauce you're gonna eat, you know, and who's at the table, you know. So I'm like, throw a sparkling, a white, and a rosé on the table at a bare minimum, and maybe a nice red, or yes, Lauren, how annoying your relatives are.
Lauren,
I really like her.
I like Lauren.
Lauren's fun.
But I realized that last year, because when I started the 1 year ago, the Blab, and I also actually opened my own domain just some weeks before. And everybody like who was reading my articles already was like, you want to read about food pairing, you should do like this kind of how do you say it, that you download when if you join my email list, so it's a teaser or whatever about food pairing. I was like, but that's boring. I mean, because you drink whatever you want. You can't just have one wine and one. But I did it, and then I realized that it's so much about what kind of wine you like. So if you don't like, I don't know, if you don't like Cabernet, then of course you don't drink that. And if you prefer Sangiovese, of course you drink Sangiovese, even if, it might not be the right pairing, because I think it's just what you like. So if you want to drink champagne with everything, you do that.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I know. I agree.
Champagne with everything.
Yes.
But, and that's another thing, people ask me to do pairing pieces a lot. And I think the last one I did was for some preserves. And I'm like, I don't like to recommend pairings because one, everybody's market's different. The wine, I'm not going to put a specific producer. I'll put a style in, try a style that's, low in tannins, maybe a little on the fruitier side, maybe a little lower on the alcohol or whatever. And here's why. And I'll give an example, like this wine from this way, or, and so you have a guide, so you can go in and see your purveyors. Like, you know what? I want a really nice, light, fruity wine, not a lot of tannins, not a lot of structure, just something that's going to wash down some turkey, whatever. But I when I see these pairings, the Girl Scout cookie pairings and Halloween candy pairings, I'm like, please don't ever ask me to write one of those, because it's just.
I think that the best thing about pairings, if you see one, written or any mention of a pairing. We're laughing at Lauren. Oh gosh. But yeah,
Halloween candy.
And Halloween candy.
Wine.
I think the best thing about it though is for somebody who really just has, maybe kind of like, I'm open to anything. I have no idea. I have no preference. Then a wine recommendation in a pairing type scenario can kind of help them go towards making a choice.
Right.
When there's so many choices that some people don't even drink wine because there's too many choices. See, and if they have a recommendation, that to them kind of starts to filter out all the noise, and then they can go, I'll go look for something, even if it's not that exact recommendation, maybe I'll go find something that's similar. And in a way, it puts some sort of direction and sense and peace or comfort into going looking for a wine. But other than that, thank you. It takes the intimidation out of it. It does. But other than that, it's not like this has to go with that or that everybody will like the combination. It's just to help take away some of all of those choices.
The analysis paralysis.
Thank you. Analysis paralysis.
And I think what we're also doing is we're putting a lot of pressure on retailers, I think, because I have a great retailer that I use, and I will drive 18 miles out of the way to go see him up north because he's tasted every wine in that shop. And he knows now, hey, all I got to do is walk in and say, what's new and weird, and he knows me and he knows what his customers want. I'm like, hey, I'm really Burgundy. Well, my customers drink more Chateauneuf de Pape. They drink more, Barolo. They drink, and so he knows what his customers want. And he every once in a while will slide something new and funky in here like this, La Caseta, but I'm putting more pressure on the retailers also to encourage the hiring of more professionals to help people guide them and not just lead them toward the same old thing all the time.
Right.
I really want retailers to know what's on their shelves and know how to sell customers. And we have too many stores here in Colorado Springs where, on a Sunday, my guy's not open and I have to go to the local liquor store and I needed some wines for an exam practice for the diploma. And I'm like, okay, 3 wines, same region, totally different price points. And not one person in that store could help me. Not one person in that store. So I'm like, John, my fiance, I'm just like, what, go, just find three Bordeaux. I don't care. Right bank, left bank, throw a white in there, whatever. And I couldn't know the region because I had to figure it out. That's part of the exam. But to be faced with that as a consumer now, imagine being a consumer and go, I'm looking for a wine to go with this. I want those retailers to really be able to honestly say, well, tell me what kind of wines you normally like. Tell me who's going to be at the table. Tell me what kind of food you're serving. Why don't we try this? And here's why this might work for you. This is a crowd pleaser. Don't just throw them over to the Apothic Red all the time. Nothing wrong with it, but many people just default to that because they have this analysis paralysis and they can't decide. In Italy, it's a little different. Every grocery store has something different on the shelves. True. I love grocery shopping in Italy because there's so many bottles. I'm like, ooh, something new. €6. Yes, the Cope down there on, just down from San Lorenzo. A lot of people don't have that adventurous spirit when they're buying wines, and it does help to have a little help from the people who are selling the wine and not just trying to make money off the hooch. They really need to give the customer an experience. And so, I'm kind of charging people to, if you're a retailer, please know what you're selling.
No, but that's true. I mean, of course, here it's different because wine is everywhere, but then it's mostly Italian wine. It's a bit difficult to find.
Because like here,
selection of wines from other.
It is, unless you go over to Volpe Luva or there's a little place in Santa Croce. There's a little wine bar over there, and they used to have some really cool Northern Italian wines. And PT had some different. That's my first Kerner was over at the wine bar, the PT wine bar, PT Gola.
So is that in Florence?
Cantina.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a good selection. But he's married to an American, I think, one of the owners.
Yes, she's lovely. But what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that less is more sometimes. It's cool if there's a good selection, but when you walk into a giant, liquor store and you don't know what you're looking for, that's where these people go, you know what, to hell with this. I'm not going to drink wine. I can't just, this is too much. I'm just going to go get the beer I always get, or I'm going to make these little cocktails I always like and have, you know, whatever, because if you don't trust somebody to give you the right information. And so that's what makes, I think, I mean, don't you love it? I love going to a wine dinner where the course is like the one you're talking about in Perugia, right? You go to a wine dinner, the wine and the food has already been chosen. That to me is my favorite thing, because then there is no analysis paralysis. You get to relax. Somebody's done all the picking for you. Now, that doesn't mean that each one you're going to think is just as great of a pairing as the other, as the sommelier or the winemaker or the chef who designed the menu. But I like not having to make a decision.
Yeah, that's what we did on my birthday. We went up to Frasca, to Bobby Stuckey's restaurant in Boulder. And he's a, you know, very, very well decorated master sommelier and a really cool dude on top of it. Yeah. And he's got this fabulous restaurant in Boulder. It's like an ultimate dining experience, but their wine list, most of it's from the Friuli Venezia Giulia area, and the style of the restaurant is based on that kind of cuisine and those kind of wines. And their wine list is killer, as you can imagine. So we go up there for my 50th birthday, and I'm so intent on ordering a banging bottle off the list. And we sat down, and I couldn't even get past the food.
Yeah.
So I was already paralyzed by the food choices because everything looked so good that I thought the last thing I want to do is pick a bottle of wine that's going to please every dish and everybody at this table. So because they have top-notch sommeliers in this restaurant, as a diner, I'd never before really felt comfortable just saying, you know what, close the wine menu, pair them. Just pair every course for me. Just do it for me. And they even asked, was there anything you don't like? I said, nothing really sweet. Right. And you know what? Every wine, every pairing, spot on. Some of it I would have never ordered had I not let them do that.
That's right.
You know, I would have never discovered that Glenner, the Pinot Noir from Sutro Alto Adige, even though I'd had it before. I would have never paired it with whatever that dish was that they, you know. And here's the thing. I don't even remember the food. I barely remember the wines. I remember that one, but
it was good.
We
remember the experience.
Together. You know, with people who love this stuff, and you could just relax, enjoy your friends, enjoy this killer food that Lachlan's putting out.
Yeah.
And let these Toms, let Rebecca and those guys just take care of you and just bring me something cool and funky. And I think that's like a Somm wet dream right there.
It is.
Yeah.
So there's a comment from Nadia, who is my friend here, my friend Sommelier. So she says that that's perhaps also a way to see the different phases of a sommelier and different tasks he or she can have.
Yes.
Like either working more traditionally as a sommelier or kind of being more an advisory position. Or becoming a tour guide. Like she's starting out now because she just moved with her partner to Florence. I mean, they lived in the countryside close to Montepulciano before. So we're kind of, when people want to, we kind of help each other to organize wine tours at the wineries we know.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can use your talent and your knowledge and your network of connections in so many ways in the wine world, you know, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, my friend, cool. Because you speak, how many languages, Katarina, do you speak?
No, I only speak 3. I read French, but I don't speak it. I only speak Swedish, Italian, and English. So.
You poor thing. Well, those come in handy. Those come in handy.
There are people who speak like 6 languages or something.
There are. My friend Kimberly, who lives there in Florence right now, Manzani, she worked at Badia Coltabuono as a tour guide for a while. She speaks 5 languages. She speaks German and Russian and Italian and French and English and she, I think Spanish, maybe more, I don't remember. But she was able to give these tours. I mean, so that's also a nice thing to have. Because you have other languages, it makes you definitely more marketable as somebody who wants to give a tour, you know, or what have you, because you're always going to have somebody on the tour that doesn't speak the language, you know.
But I think it's also a way to arrive to the more, not the same wineries all the time, because a lot of the groups do the typical or the usual wineries. Also because perhaps they're more organized, but I think it's also more fun to go to the more smaller wineries, which perhaps doesn't have an organized tasting tour, but they take you directly to the
yeah,
to where they're working, and then still they organize
Yeah.
the tasting for you, because I think the experience is a bit more genuine.
You're right.
And intimate.
It is. I remember going out to Umbria out in the Maremma there. And, it was something that we scheduled way ahead of time. And, it was just, we were the only ones there. We hired a car from Siena and just went out there and got a tour of the vineyards, had a private tasting. And I couldn't believe this tasting. I'm like, this was all set up just for the two of us.
Mm.
And then they didn't even charge us for it. So we just bought a bunch of wine,
Mhm.
But, you want to make it worth people's time, but there are all these little, and I have like a special place in my heart for that wine. Whenever I see even just their elitro, they're just basic wine, not even the really good, the stuff that I love. But there's a special place in my heart there because I got to sit there, I think with Simone, I think it was who gave us the tour, Simona, and it was just like you had a personal experience, and there's a special place in your heart for that kind of thing. Instead of just going through the big ones, like you go through Napa and you're just touring the same route and the same wineries over and over, and you're just just buy some wine and get out kind of thing. And not that they're all like that, but
No.
I like to have a private tasting with a small number of people at a small table and be able to geek out about the wine. And with your big group and you're a big winery, you don't get a chance to ask those questions. You don't get a chance to geek out.
True.
Yeah, and from a sommelier perspective, you probably have a lot of questions that a lot of people may not have.
Well, like last year, when I think it was a year ago, we went to Val delle Corti, which is Roberto Bianchi. He does one of the best Radda Chianti Classico, I think.
Yeah.
Well, not one of the best, but it's very good. And I went with all in male, a group of male sommeliers, and they always know best, so I was always very silent. And then in the end, he asked me, "Why aren't you saying anything? Why aren't you talking like the other ones? Why aren't you making questions?" Like, well,
because you all are sucking the oxygen out of the room and won't give you a chance to talk.
It was very funny. But Nadia also said, like, you could call sommeliers the wine whisperers, so that you whisper to the people what they should.
Yeah,
just suggest something. Anytime there's a knowledgeable sommelier in a restaurant, man, I want to talk to that person because there's something on that list I know they've tasted that I haven't, and I'll tell you what, my best experiences were when I let the somm pick the wine, not when I chose it. Because frankly, I'm not that good at it.
Well, they know their list.
They know their list. They know the cuisine of the restaurant. I remember Martin. In fact, he was in Somm Journal a couple weeks ago at was it Wild Ginger in Seattle, and he pulled out this sick with an 82 Riesling from the Oregon, some Willamette Valley in Oregon, 1982. And here it was 2014, and Kathy and I split this bottle, and it was ridiculous. I would have never picked that wine.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that wine existed, but it was just such an amazing experience. They'll pick something out and just give me something weird. And Somms love that.
Something obscure is fun, and
Yeah, because we're all trying to try new things and learn new things. It doesn't matter how much you've been studying. There's always something to learn, and
always.
True.
Yeah, Somm will definitely help you with that.
So how was the wine that you brought back, Stephanie, from Italy? How much did you bring back in the end?
It's almost all gone.
Okay. Because you had this huge kind of bag. With
well, I know. We brought that Lazen back with 12 bottles. And some of them were gifts. And some of them
Thank you, by the way.
Yes.
I've got 2 bottles here.
That's right. And some of them we shared, with our neighbors, and we even had some of Justin's family over, aunt, uncles, and cousins, and we did a little slideshow of our, trip to. Well, we spent a lot of time in Umbria, but we did go over to Vernazza as well. So we did a slideshow, and it was fun. It was drinking the wine from our trip, and so now we have maybe I think 5 bottles left or something like that. And 4 of them are dedicated to, I have a private wine club in Fort Collins called Wine with Lunch. And so 4 of the bottles are set aside for the lunch coming up on December 6th. And it's going to be really cool because we started our trip in Geneva before we went over to Italy, and we got to do a little bit of wine tasting in Geneva, and we spent a little bit of time at one winery. And so I came back with a Chasselas that we hand carried back, and we're going to serve that at the Wine with Lunch. And then I brought back a Mar from that same winery, and we're going to finish with that. But then I've sprinkled in some Umbrian wine. So that's going to be, I think it's sold out, this Wine with Lunch, and I'm excited to share the stories with everybody. And now it's going to be hard to find any of those bottles ever again, but some of them you can get in the US. So like the Scaccia Diavoli stuff you can get here, which is cool.
You have to ask them to send them to you.
Yeah.
It is expensive also to ship wine back. I know I shipped a case back from that cantina in Greve, where you have the little machines, 160 wines on tap, whatever. I remember shipping a case back from there, and it cost me more to ship the wine than the wine actually cost. And because I shipped back the first vintage of the Poggio Scaletti Chianti Classico, because they were from the vintage that I harvested. And I was like, oh, I picked these grapes. So I sent the wine back, and it was only like €14 a bottle, this stuff, or whatever it was. And it cost me more to ship the wine back, and it's just like, sometimes it's just like, so you go through the online retailers and, do what you can, but it is expensive to ship wine back. So.
Yeah. And we got lucky that we were able to check that Lazen bag and not get charged for it either. So, yeah, we didn't get charged. And so, I mean, we bought the bag, but now we have the bag for other trips, and we can loan the bag out to our wine friends who need a bag, so, that kind of a thing. But yeah, it worked well.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your help, by the way, lugging that bag around and stuff.
Well, I did the normal trolley.
Oh yeah, I gave you the easier bag because that other bag was a bit.
I think the bottles were heavier because I saw you kind of huffing and puffing.
That's funny. Hey, what part of town is your apartment on, Katarina? Where's your apartment?
I'm close to Le Cure.
Okay.
Yes. So it's the Viale Volta towards Fiesole. But it's not that far from the center.
No, it's a nice area. I mean, you can walk to Fiesole. It's only a 3-mile walk to Fiesole. I mean, I've walked up there. So,
yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's up that way. Yeah. But I just saw the windows, and I was like, that reminds me. I had an apartment on Via Leone that was right across from Hemingway.
Yeah.
In Alterna, up there. And if you walk out of Hemingway and look up at the second floor, those are my apartment windows on that corner on Via Leone. Yeah, so that was my third apartment over there, and those windows remind me of that apartment. I'm like,
yeah, because all windows are a bit like this here.
I love them
with the shutters and.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice. So.
Okay, so I don't know if there's any more questions. It doesn't seem so. Do you want to add something? Anything else you want to tell?
I think what people can look forward to. We have an episode coming out on Thursday, 2 days on Thanksgiving. That's going to be about holiday gift buying for wine lovers and, some other holiday entertaining type of information. And it's going to be a fun show. We had a fun time recording it with Emily Kimmy. And then after that, we have the Japanese wine tasting, and Val and I were together for that, tasted some Japanese wines, and talked to everybody about that.
Yep.
So, and then 2017, we're going to have new fun stuff coming out. I'm sure there'll be a new challenge. We still have our hashtag W25 challenge going on. And so we'll be picking a winner for that.
Okay.
That'll be at the beginning of January. We'll announce the winner, and we have another challenge.
Yeah, we have another contest to give away. The Uncorking the Caucasus book by Dr. and Sherry Tan. Yeah, so that's on our Patreon. That's our crowdfunding page, and that is going to be open to our Patreon supporters. So it doesn't matter if they're pledging $1 a month or $5 a month. Everybody gets to enter that contest, and get that book. And so we'll be doing the drawings in our January episode. And if all things go well, we have a Master of Wine on deck for early December and a cider producer. She makes sparkling cider and a port style cider, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll still be able to keep their commitment. Sometimes people get busy, and this Master of Wine is very popular, very busy, and very well traveled. So hopefully he can get back with us. I've done tours with him. He's amazing. And then next year we've got some fun things on deck, possibly a new sponsor. So it's just some fun things that we're just trying to keep it fresh, because this will be our third year, going into our third year, and we want to keep it fresh.
Okay, you did it for 3 years. I thought 2 years.
Well, third year. We started in April of 2015, so so we'll celebrate our second year in April and start our third year in April. But when you go, what is it? We're on episode 85 right now, or 86 or something. 86 weeks straight. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching some podcasters start fizzling out about, a year in, and I'm like, what? We're still going pretty strong. And so there's no pod fading here, and there's so much to talk about when it comes to wine, and so many people to talk to. I don't see us pod fading anytime soon.
No, and I'm sure that we'll plan something pretty special for our 100th episode and something special for our 2-year anniversary. Yeah. So those are 2 things to look forward to.
I'm curious, Lauren, are you in Florida? Am I thinking? Where's Lauren?
I think she's in Florida.
Where in Florida?
Maybe we can meet up with her in
outside
Lauderdale. Okay, yeah, because I think we might have connected with you on Twitter somewhere. I think I don't know.
Because also Angela Santarelli, who follows me on Twitter and Facebook, I think she's also in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, because we're going to probably be in Orlando in February for Podfest. So yeah. But yeah, so it would be cool to definitely connect with you guys outside this space. And, we're always open to suggestions or comments or questions and all that good stuff. So interact with us on our pages, our Facebook page, Twitter, send us a voicemail, send us a suggested topic. And if you're trying new things, and use that hashtag W25Challenge, every quarter we draw a winner, and you get to come on the show and pick the subject and chat with us. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So,
well, thank you, Katarina.
No, thank you. For those of you who are following on Facebook, you can also go to my blog, and you can find their link via the article on my blog. If you don't, because the link I think only works here in the Huzzah. But there was a lot of people coming and going on Facebook.
I can't see that. So
they're not lingering very long, but for a while there was a lot of people. So I think.
Oh, that's really cool.
So thanks a lot for being here, and I don't know, it was very, very fun, and it was great to have you for my 1 year. I haven't done as many
happy anniversary. That's exciting.
Congratulations. Yeah.
And actually, I didn't think I would be very long. I thought after a couple of months, probably I will realize that nobody's going to listen to me, but it's been working and it's fun.
Yeah, I think it helps that you have conversations with other people, as we found. Yeah. So.
And I try. I do mostly producers, but local. But I try to vary it a bit, like with you podcasters, or like sommeliers who has something to talk about the topic. So I think that's also. But I realized that's good. To have a bit of different things. So.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say something about next. So next Tuesday we were supposed to have Cantina Luca from Calabria final again, but they had to cancel because they have a wine event this weekend. So they didn't manage to get back in time. But we will have probably another one, which is Cantina Bio Natura from Trentino. It's Stefano Bailoni, but I will give you all the details on my blog and on all the social channels. So it's going to be my first from Trentino.
Oh, cool.
So I'm kind of starting to get a bit of different regions. So that's going to be fun. And then in December, it's going to be another producer from Gaiole in Chianti Classico in Gaiole. Saverio, which is Monterotondo, and then we have Fattore di Fibiano again with Matteo Cantoni and his brother, which are fun people. And then I don't know. I still have to find someone for the the last before Christmas. So I don't know. I'm really happy that you were here and that you talked about your podcast and everything you do. It was very fun to meet Stephanie in person in Umbria too. Yeah. I think we had a lot of fun.
I'm so glad you guys got to meet. That is so cool. All because of Twitter. I love it.
I know.
Yeah. Because we could just talk the paint off the walls.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's true.
Yes.
It is true.
I will edit it down so we don't get lost.
Oh, no, you can leave it. It's all good.
Okay.
All right.
Cheers to you.
Your anniversary.
Cheers. My black glass, which is pretty cool.
It is cool.
My black Caesar glass.
Love it. Thanks.
I just wanted to comment that the fashion show was pretty cool live.
I saw it.
Yeah. I was hoping for like naked bodies.
No, there wasn't any naked bodies.
I know. At least up top. But we talked about that. You and I talked about that.
That's what I thought. It was going to be these guys with like ripped abs modeling.
I know.
No, they were too afraid to do that. They thought it would be kind of, I don't know.
That's what we should do for our 2nd anniversary.
Yes.
Or not.
125 redoes the
These are tablecloth tasting.
These are tablecloth model show.
Oh my gosh.
But it was pretty cool. I mean, it kind of lightened up because I mean, the other stuff was fun too, but I mean, it was a bit more serious tastings and stuff. So.
Wait, and you got to taste some killer wines too. You had that Giulio Ferrari, the vintage tasting, the Verticale.
Yeah, but I only did a photos there. I didn't do the tasting.
Okay.
But I did a Caruso Verticale, which was very good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to get out of Val's lap here. I feel like I'm sitting on Val. I'm like, hi. Can we possibly be any closer right now?
But it shows that you're a very close-knit podcast. You know?
Yeah, you could say that.
That's funny.
Okay,
we got more work to do here. So, guys,
thank you very much for taking time and have fun.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay.
So